Welcome back to the kitchen at Andersen Acres. Today we are going to be making potato wedges. These are nice with a hint of spice and they're absolutely fantastic. You are going to need a deep fryer or a pot of oil on the stove. So we are starting with a bunch of russet potatoes. These are on the small side, which is a shame, but that's the size they are. Sometimes you can't control how big your potatoes get. So, russet potatoes. The first thing you need to do is peel them. All right, potatoes are peeled. Excellent. We also have a bowl of cold water sitting beside us. Now we're going to cut them into wedges. You can do this however you want, and it's really going to depend on the size of your potato. So I tend to cut them in half, and then I tend to cut them in half again, and then I tend to cut those little guys in half. But if I have a larger potato, the wedges may end up being many more out of one potato. So I'll get 8 wedges out of each potato out of potatoes this size. Pop them in the water. Continue to do that till you are done chopping. All right, potatoes are chopped and soaking in the water. We're going to add some salt. This seems like a lot of salt, but act like you're salting pasta water. The salt helps draw that starch out. And the reason we're going to soak them in the water with the salt is to draw as much of that starch out as possible, because that results in a crispier potato. So that's what we're doing for now. We're going to pop them in the fridge, then we'll come back in a couple hours and continue on with them. Because right now what we're doing is just letting them soak. So that's the ice maker. So pop those in the fridge, come back to them at least 2 hours or overnight, whatever works best for your schedule. All right, our potatoes have been soaking. It is now time to take them out of this salty water and put them in to a fresh pot that can go on your stove. And you're just going to use a slotted spoon or something to pull these out, put them in there. Okay, this is an important step because it gives you crisper potatoes. Okay, we're just going to transfer these. And then what we're going to do is, as soon as these are completely transferred, we're going to put them on the stove. I'm not going to film this part. I'm just telling you what to do because we're going to film something else while we're doing this. But you're going to take this entire pot, you're going to put it on the stove, and you're going to turn it on to boiling. You're going to wait for it to boil, and then once it boils, you're going to set a 4-minute timer. Those 4 minutes are really important. Okay? We're not cooking the potatoes so much as just kind of starting the cooking process. One, it'll speed up the deep fry, making sure that your potatoes are actually cooked. And it will also kind of just get your potatoes just a little more starch removed. Just a little more starch. So that's going on the stove. We are going to boil that. When it comes to a boil, you'll set a 4-minute timer. While we're doing that, we are going to make a seasoning mix for our potatoes after they're done boiling. Okay, we need a few ingredients. We need celery seed, half a teaspoon of that. We need 2 teaspoons, this is actually 2 tablespoons of salt. You need a fair amount of seasoning, okay? Because we got quite a few potatoes. And then we want some garlic powder. You want 2 teaspoons, okay? Some stuck to my bowl, because of course there is. Got 2 teaspoons of that. Perfect. We want half a teaspoon of onion powder. We want 1 teaspoon of paprika. We want some black pepper in here. Okay, we want about half a teaspoon of black pepper. And finally, you're going to want a sprinkle of cayenne pepper. Okay, a sprinkle of cayenne. You don't want these super hot, so you want no more than 1/8 of a teaspoon. You just want that heat. You don't want to burn your mouth. I like burning my mouth, but I acknowledge most people do not. So we are going to mix this thoroughly, and we will need this in a few minutes when those potatoes are done boiling. But until then, just make sure your mix is thoroughly mixed. Okay, keep going until your mix is pretty even. You don't want paprika in one area and pepper in another. You want to really make sure that's well mixed. Okay, nice and well mixed. Get that all done. And then we will come back as soon as those potatoes are done boiling, because right now there's nothing to do until they're done boiling. Well, we get to listen to the ice maker and the dishwasher now. It's fun. So these have been boiling for 4 minutes. They're not completely tender. They shouldn't be. Okay, they shouldn't fall apart. So you should be able to like scoop them without them turning into mush. You're not mashing them. You want them to stay wedges. So what we're going to do, we have our seasoning mix right here. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of these, put them in a clean bowl. Okay, I'm going to do 2 scoops at a time. Drain the water off of them. Then we're going to take some of this seasoning. You don't need all of it. Okay, half of it is going to go in your batter later, but half of it is going on here now. So add more potatoes. Add more seasoning. Okay, this is excellent stuff. And then I'm going to add the rest of my potatoes because now they're getting away from me. Because there's fewer in the pot. When there's fewer in the pot, you start to get smaller scoops because it's hard to chase around the pot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give them a good toss so that they're nicely coated in the seasoning. And once we give them a good toss, we're going to put them in the fridge to cool completely. I think there's another wedge in here somewhere. Maybe not. Okay. So we're going to put some more seasoning on here. Okay. Reserve the rest for your batter. We're going to take these, we're going to toss them while they're warm. That's why I like doing it this way, because they're too hot to handle, but they're not too hot to toss in a bowl. So toss them well in the seasoning mix. Okay. Now we're going to cover them, refrigerate them. I'm going to let them cool a little bit before I cover them, but you're going to cover them, you're going to refrigerate them, and then you're going to let them cool completely. You want them super chilled. So stick them in the fridge and wait for them to be chilled. But remember to cover them first. Well, our potatoes are chilled. It is now time to make both a batter and a dredge for our potatoes. So what we're going to do is make the batter first. We are using 1 egg that we scrambled up. To that egg, we are going to add 1 cup of milk, preferably buttermilk, but if you don't have buttermilk, regular milk will do. Okay, but buttermilk ideally. Use a little whisk. Then we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Baking soda, not baking powder. Okay, baking soda. Mix that in. That baking soda will help make your batter fluffier. Okay, so we're going to do a liquid batter, and then we're going to dredge them. To this, we want to take a 1/4 teaspoon of that seasoned salt we made, so the spice mixture that we made earlier that we had left over, that has gone on the potatoes, and now it's going on our batter. Okay, that's our batter. Let's make our dredge. Our dredge involves 1 cup of flour. It involves a 1/4 cup of cornstarch and the rest of the seasoning mix. Okay? The rest of that seasoning mix. And I gotta grab a spoon because I often don't grab a spoon for mixing. And while I'm over here, I'm grabbing my other lid. Is this the right lid? No, that's not the right lid. Find my lid. Where's my lid? I have no idea where my lid is. Found it. Never mind. It's okay. Crisis averted. That's the proper lid. So, give that batter a stir. Okay. Give that batter a stir and obviously get it all over yourself while you're doing it. That's fun. Ah, yeah. Look, I am not neat when I'm cooking. We don't even pretend. Look, we just look. That's fine. Don't worry about it. So now we're going to take our batter. Okay, I know it's really loose. We're dumping it right in here. Not even kidding. Just dump it right in. Don't worry about it. Get rid of the little bowl, put it in the sink. Don't worry about it. And then we need, wherever I put the lid, found it. Found the lid. Put the lid back on. Okay, snap that lid down tight. You want these guys well coated, okay? Well coated. You don't need the lid anymore. Get rid of the lid. All right, then what we're gonna do is take these guys one at a time, shake them off, put them in the flour mixture. Okay, one at a time, pick them up. They're slimy. Pick them up. Put them in the flour mixture. There we go. But you just want them. I am going to save my sanity and use this instead. But you want to make sure they're pretty well drained. There's a cat out there. Sorry, I'm looking out the window and there's a cat. So make sure they're pretty well drained. Okay. Get those out of there. Okay, here we go. All of them. You want all of these guys because we need to get them into the dredge. Just pile them in there. There's really not a lot of ceremony to this. There's not a lot of ceremony to a lot of the stuff I do. I like quick and easy. If I spend too much time fiddling, it gets annoying. So, remember, these are par cooked. So we boiled them. So when they are deep fried, they won't take very long. And we're going to deep fry them twice. Because that is how you get a really nice crunch. Okay, that's it. All those guys are gone. Good. Give this a shake so that they settle a little bit. Snap the lid on and literally turn it upside down and shake it. Okay? Turn it upside down, shake it again. Literally, be rough. Be rough. There we go. Those look pretty good. What we're going to do is we are going to let them sit for 20 minutes. Just leave them. I know, they look weird. But we're going to leave them for 20 minutes. While we're waiting for them to set for 20 minutes, we are going to set up our deep fryer. Okay? So let them sit. Then we'll fire up our deep fryer. All right, so our oil has been heated. I'm heating the oil at first to only 330, 340 degrees Fahrenheit. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop the basket all the way in, shake these off, drop them in one at a time. Okay, you want them shaken off pretty well. You don't want a bunch of flour going in. So knock them off, drop them in. Okay? If you notice there's an area that doesn't have a lot, find a section of stuff and press it on, drop it in. And you don't want to crowd them. Okay, you don't want to crowd them, because if you crowd them, they won't properly cook. And you're only going to do this till they're obviously crisping on the outside. So small batches, waiting till they're a little bit crisp on the outside. Then after that, you're going to transfer them to, on this side, I have a rack over paper towels. So you're going to do that. You're just going to do it for about 2 minutes. They don't need very long, just about 2 minutes. Then you're going to transfer them to a drying rack so they can cool for about 20 minutes before you raise the temperature and do the second fry. So you don't need very long. I'll show you what they look like when they're partially done. You want them partially cooked, partially done, and then you can do a second fry, and that'll just enhance how crispy they are. So while you're doing that, roll any ones that don't have enough coating on them in the coating. Because it's always going to happen. You're going to have a couple that stick together, and you're just going to want to make sure those get coated. Okay, just make sure they get coated, because it makes for a better potato if they're all fully coated. Okay, so just kind of look for your next batch. Make sure they're mostly coated and tap them off. All right, that just helps you out there. Wipe your stuff on your shirt because your shirt's already dirty. So we're doing it at a low temp just because we don't want to overcook them, right? We don't want them dry. Remember, we already par-cooked them in the water. So we don't need them, we just need them basically like that, where that coating is set. Drain them a little bit here, and then you're just gonna keep doing that. Okay, you're just gonna keep doing that till you've done the entire batch, because it's fun. It's fun, okay? So you're just gonna start dropping them in. Remember to knock off any excess flour. That's the real trick. Make sure you don't have too much flour going into here. And just do a whole bunch. Don't overcrowd your pan, your oil. Oops. Don't overcrowd your oil. You don't want to do that. And then just keep it going. Right? You just want to keep that going and make sure that you have some delicious, excellent potato wedges. So I'm not going to make you watch me doing this over and over again. But just each group, deep fry them for about 2 minutes. Take them out, drain them, let them cool. Then we'll raise the temperature and do the second fry. All right, their first fry is done and they have cooled down. Now we're going to put them in for their second fry. The second fry is 5 to 7 minutes. After that first fry, you can freeze them if you want. You put them in the freezer for a rainy day, doesn't matter. You can do your own, do them in bulk. That's what I like to do. And how long are you going to fry them? Until you're happy with how dark they are. 5 to 7 minutes ought to do it. Darker if you want, lighter if you like. They are pretty much cooked. Remember, they were boiled and then they were deep fried. So they are pretty cooked. They're just not crispy yet. They will be now. And the reason why we fry them twice is if you take them out and let them cool a little bit, the moisture kind of evaporates from the breading and you get a crisper potato wedge. So we will come back when I have got these plated up and looking good. Well, the potato wedges are done and they look just divine. Shake a little bit of Parmesan on top. A little bit of Parmesan. A little bit of parsley. And your favorite dip. And they are ready to go. That's about it for us here tonight at Andersen Acres. I do hope you enjoyed making potato wedges with us. Remember, you can change the spices if you don't like them. We'll see you tomorrow.